Hello guys, welcome to Study IQ. Today we are going to talk about a news from Tamil Nadu, and more important is we are going to talk in general about the caste and caste enumeration in India. Why is it necessary in India to have a head count of different castes? What is the situation of caste based society in India? So we'll talk about this, have an elaborate discussion what has been the history of caste-based analysis or enumeration in India would be discussed in this particular video. Let's talk about that. But before that, I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on the ID Rahul Sai 222 or the other IDs which are provided. If you want to contact me, you can directly email me on this particular ID also. Study IQ has brought comprehensive prelims cum mains program for you for UPSC 2021. For more information, please download the app. Now let's first talk about the news. I told you we are going to talk about Tamil Nadu. Recently, the Tamil Nadu government has decided that it is going to appoint a commission to formulate a methodology to collect caste-based data. They are going to collect particulars of different castes of its population, and they're going to come up with a report. Report of what? Report of what is the situation of these particular castes and how is it going to impact? It is going to eventually impact the reservation policy in Tamil Nadu. That is the understanding as of now. But there is a political angle also to this particular decision which has been taken by the Tamil Nadu government. We all know that in Tamil Nadu, in May 2021, there would be elections to the state legislative assembly. And it's all a political issue now because one of the parties in Tamil Nadu, that is Pattali Makkala Katchi, it has been demanding 20% exclusive reservation for the one-year community which is there in Tamil Nadu. And one-year community is their main vote base also. Now, although Tamil Nadu government has just announced that it is going to set up the commission, but the details are not very clear as to how elaborate the commission is going to go into collecting the caste-based data. We do not know whether it would be a survey or it would be some sort of caste census specifically for Tamil Nadu. So today we are going to talk about the caste enumeration in India, how exactly caste enumeration has taken place or what are the details of this caste enumeration in India. And at the end, we are going to have a small discussion about the impact of this particular thing. Now, let me first talk about caste and census because this is something which has been going on for a very, very long time. We all know that the first census was conducted in 1881, the first complete census. And if we look at the census till 1931, caste data was also collected by the enumerators every 10 years. But in 1941, it was decided that caste-based enumeration would be stopped. The main reason was that the entire census operation itself was affected because of the Second World War. And why did they stop? The reason that was given by the then Registrar General was that funding crunch is there right now. Because of the expenditure caused by the World War II, we are not able to conduct the caste census and include that in the general census of 1941. Now, after this, we did get independence in 1947 and the first independent India census was held in 1951. And the first India's, that is Free India's Registrar General was R.A. Gopalaswamy. And he enunciated that census is not about caste. Census is not about race or tribe. Although he said if there is some statistical necessity, we are going to go into some data with respect to caste, race, tribes, only some data. So what exactly happens in census in India? We don't get details of all the castes. We do get details of tribes in India and we do not focus on racial data also. As of now, SC/ST details are collected as a part of decennial census that we have. Every 10 years we do conduct a census. But details of other castes are not collected. So it is not a part and parcel of census. Now the question arises, how exactly do we get the data with respect to caste in India? We have set up backward class commissions before. In the late 1950s, Kaka Kalelkar Commission was set up to study the situation of backward classes or backward castes in India. Later on in 1979, the Janata government, it set up BP Mandal Commission, which gave its recommendation in 1980. The recommendations of BP Mandal Commission, it included that reservation should be provided to the other backward classes or other backward castes, right? I'm using class or caste in general here in my discussion. It was eventually implemented in 1990 by the VP Singh government, which has opened a Pandora's box, and many experts do believe that this was a landmark decision by the government which has opened India up to the reservation politics itself. Moreover, if we look at states, we do see that reservation is not just the concept of central government. It has gone into the state government, yes. And in the domain of state governments, there has been subcategorization. In multiple states, there have been different commissions which have been set up, their own backward class commissions. Recently, we have spoken about one of the commissions in Maharashtra also over the Maratha reservation. There have been many examples of this, although methodology differs from commission to commission, but in general, they go for a detailed enumeration. For example, the J.A. Ambasankar Commission in Tamil Nadu, the Venkataswamy Commission in Karnataka, they went for questionnaires. They go through the population, there would be some questionnaires which have to be filled where they give the caste details, all the other details. It would be some sort of census or a detailed study of caste in the state. Now, the next question arises, why is it needed? Which we will talk in some time. But a landmark decision came in 2011 by the UPA government. The UPA government started its socio-economic caste census in 2011. Why 2011? Because 2011 census was also there. The SECC and the census, it took place simultaneously. Now, the difference is that with respect to SECC, there was a more comprehensive set of data related to economic as well as caste details. And we all know that census is also comprehensive, but in terms of the enumeration, it focuses more and more on literacy rate, more on all the other details that we find in the census. But SECC specifically focused on the rural and urban households separately, where the questions were asked on a preset parameter, specifically with respect to the economy, right? What is the profession, poverty level, etc., etc. All these things were enumerated. And there was a second part, that was caste census. So the entire SECC had two parts. One part was the rural and urban household data with respect to some preset parameters, economic parameters, and the other was the caste census. Now, if we look at the SECC, it was conducted way back in 2011, and we have the data, the details of economic conditions of people both in rural and urban households have been released. They are in the public domain. But when you come to caste, the caste data has not been released till now. So in census, it was already stopped since 1941. We do not have the data. We do have the data of the Kaka Kalelkar Commission, the Mandal Commission, which have been criticized time and again that they were rather unscientific. So in 2011, a more scientific approach was followed, but the caste details have not yet been released in public domain. The question arises, but why? Many experts believe, or it is some sort of conjecture, that the data is very, very politically sensitive. When we talk about caste in India, it is directly connected to reservation, and reservation is like playing with fire, right? So this politically sensitive data has not been released. In fact, many experts do believe that the data might antagonize the dominant or the powerful castes, because there has been a belief system that in India, dominant castes are in majority, they have dominated, etc., etc., but that might not be really, really true. But why are we telling this? What is the belief system behind this particular argument? Now, if we look at the movement that we see for reservation in Andhra Pradesh, the Jat reservation in Punjab, the Maratha reservation in Maharashtra, all these things, they do suggest that there is some dividing line in these dominant castes. The main reason would be the reservation policy since 1990, which has been benefiting the other backward castes, while these dominant class, which have relied more and more on agriculture, which has not been very remunerative for many decades now, that might be one of the reasons. But in general, it's a very, very politically sensitive data. That's why it's not released as of now. Now, the next question arises, why do we need caste data itself? Now, the answer to this, let me move on to the next slide to tell you the answer in short, and we'll come back to the discussion on the previous slide. The status in different states, what I have given here is the reservation status in different states. If we talk about the in general rule, that 50% rule of reservation has to be maintained according to Supreme Court decisions, many states are already in violation, although they have got exception. For example, Tamil Nadu has got exception, 69% reservation to its own population, Haryana 70%, Jharkhand 60%, mainly because of scheduled tribes, and for Maharashtra it is 68% after the Maratha reservation now. So what does this tell you? This tells that the caste data is needed for what? It is needed to understand the reservation pattern, because caste and reservation are heavily connected in India. Now let me talk about two important judgments here, landmark cases in the Supreme Court. The first one is Indira Chauhan case 1992, when the PV Narasimha Rao government, it did implement this Mandal Commission recommendation, and they also gave 10% reservation to upper castes, economically weaker sections from the dominant castes. This was challenged, and in the Indira Chauhan case, the court observed a lot of things, and in this case itself, the court has given the 50% ceiling. That reservation cannot exceed 50%, right? Now, in this case itself, Supreme Court has told that caste can be the main criteria for gauging the backwardness, yes. But remember that caste cannot be the only factor for giving reservation. It was clearly told by the Supreme Court in the Indira Chauhan case that it would be unconstitutional if reservation is given only on the basis of caste alone. That is why caste is always clubbed with some sort of data, and in the Nagaraj case in 2006, another landmark case, Supreme Court clearly told that state has to collect quantifiable data showing backwardness of a particular class, especially the inadequacy of representation of that class in the public employment, in their cadre, etc., etc. These have all been told, and we have seen that this quantifiable data is needed, and it is for this reason that there is a prime focus on collecting this particular data also. And many states have tried to do it. In Karnataka, they have tried to do it. In Tamil Nadu, now the commission has come, the second commission has come. So states are going for collecting this caste data mainly to defend their own reservation policies. Now, if you look at the reason for Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu government has clearly said that we are obtaining this quantifiable data through this particular commission to protect our 69% reservation policy. Now, we do understand that it does make sense, because there is always a need for accurate data, which is very much needed. But this would also lead to division in the society, because there would be heartburn for some people as soon as the caste enumeration is done. Some castes which the report might say are dominant, they might disagree with it. Some castes which are shown as backward, they would want more and more reservation, etc. So more and more demands will spawn, and this would lead to division of the society further. So we can look this particular topic from two dimensions. Now, one dimension is that it's a very, very good thing where the needy people would be identified and they would be getting the reservation or affirmative action policies from the state. But again, on the flip side, it would lead to further division in the society, more and more demands. Now, this all boils down to one question, or I would say rather one statement by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. He always said we need to annihilate the caste. He believed that caste system in India is so entrenched that without ending this, there would be no end of discrimination in our country. So by getting this data, are we moving towards annihilation of caste, or are we moving towards deepening the caste-based division in the society? That would be one of the questions. And in general, we need to answer the question that do we need a casteless society, or do we need a caste-based or caste-divided society, which would be more better? Nonetheless, one thing is for sure, that this data is needed, but not with an intention to protect the reservation policy, rather to rationalize, to improve the reservation policy in India. Because one needs to understand that affirmative action is needed. And we already know that caste alone cannot become one of the criteria. Caste clubbed with data would surely become. This would help eventually that the affirmative action policies of the state would reach to the needy people. If any development comes on this commission from Tamil Nadu, we will bring to you as soon as possible. That is it from my side on this part of discussion. Thank you very much for watching. Jai Hind.